Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, April the 6th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you. Hope everyone had a good Easter Sunday. Ready to break down the Monday NHL slate. 4 games on tap here on a Monday, but we've got plenty of juicy matchups here to break down and preview here for Monday night. We've got a first place Atlantic Division showdown between Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Probably the headliner, although not far behind is Nashville, Los Angeles. 2 teams currently tied for that final wild card spot in the Western Conference. San Jose's playing for their playoff lives against Chicago. Winnipeg's playing for their playoff lives against Seattle. So there's really implications in all 4 games tonight. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, though, we want to remind everybody, Betcast night coming up this week, Thursday night. It's going to be free for all. Open to everybody. This will be our 1 monthly free-for-all betcast for April. This Thursday night, I got to correct the time here. It's actually going to be a 6:45 p.m. East. Actually, 6:40 is probably what we're going to aim for as far as getting on the air, because this Thursday slate, the first game is actually a 6:45 p.m. Eastern start time between the Toronto Maple Leafs and New York Islanders. And that will be the head coaching debut of Peter DeBoer with the New York Islanders. So we want to be ready to go from opening puck drop of that game. So 6:40 p.m. Eastern time, Thursday night, that is when we're going to aim to get that betcast fire off and running. So make sure you join us for that. As always, DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast for Thursday night, and we'll make sure you are a part of it. Saturday was a big slate. It started early in the day with just the Detroit Red Wings driving their fans to really bad places, I would say, coming after off a game like that. You look at it, I mean, they were once again, they had a good start, actually. They got the first goal very early. They had a dreadful second period. I don't know what happened to them there, but 4 unanswered Minnesota Wild goals to take a 4-1 lead. And then all of a sudden, it's like there was a freaking awakening in the second intermission that Detroit realized, oh, yeah, shit, we're trying to make the playoffs here. And then all of a sudden in the third period, they spring to life, 4-2, 4-3. Sir Patrick Kane then ties it 4-4. And then, unfortunately, Patrick Kane helped author the comeback. Patrick Kane helped author the demise as well, with a very ill-timed penalty late in that third period to give Minnesota that late third period power play chance, which they cashed in on to give them the lead back in the final 2 minutes, 5-4, and they would hang on to give Detroit a costly 5-4 regulation loss. Could you imagine that as a Red Wings fan, the freaking torture you went through in that game? You know, you're up early, great start. You're down and out 4-1. It turns in the second period. They're booed off the ice. You think, here we go again, another flop for our team in a big spot. And then they draw you back in with a comeback from 4-1 down to tie it. And you think, okay, we're at least going to get a point out of this thing. But no, you give up that power play goal and you lose 5-4 in the last 2 minutes. That is ridiculously gut-wrenching. I feel so bad for some Red Wings fans. I know Alex won't. We'll get to his thoughts in a moment. We know what he thinks of the Detroit Red Wings. But, I mean, if we do have some good viewers and listeners that are Red Wings fans. TJ is someone that always I go back and forth with on Twitter. I mean, just devastating to lose like that. To actually think you're out of it, come back, you think you're going to get a point, and then lose it in regulation with that power play goal against, just brutal. Absolutely the epitome of brutality for Red Wing fans watching that nonsense yesterday afternoon. But Alex, no sympathy on your part.
I mean, it's always tough when you have a team like that play like that, where you're down in a big game, and then to rally back, you want to complete the rally, and to have the man who ties the game up in Sir Patrick Kane take that penalty as well. That's just a tough look, and this is what's now been the 5th March and into April, where we've seen this Detroit team just fall apart and play rough hockey, and at some point you have to wonder what's going to be what's going to turn the tide for this franchise at some point. We're talking about a historically great franchise that has played a lot of big time hockey, won championships over the years, but we have not seen that style of hockey, that quality of hockey from the Red Wings in a long time now. And you just wonder what's it going to take for them for things to swing in their fashion. It's got to be maddening. If you're a Red Wings fan, you certainly have a right to be upset with how that game went and how really the last month and a half has gone for your team.
Yep, it is. This is just weeks of this BS that you have to put up with blown leads and not showing up in the first period, not showing up like you give a care about making the playoffs. I mean, and then you do show a little gumption and fight and ability to bounce back in the third period, and then you give up that crushing power play goal in the last 2 minutes. See, they had to do what the Flyers did, and we're thankful for what the Flyers did because it's a great segue to the next game, Boston-Pittsburgh. It's 1-1 late in the third period of that Bruins-Flyers game. You don't fuck up the point in the bank if you're the Flyers. You stay out of the box, low and slow. You don't take a stupid penalty. You don't give the Bruins a chance to kill you late in the third period with a power play goal and lose in regulation. You played it well if you're Rick Tocchet and the Flyers. You get the 1 point secured, period. It's that important this time of year. Every point matters, and Detroit failed in that regard. Philly didn't, and Philly ends up. Well, first of all, they had a good start, 1-0 lead early. I thought the second period, their power play kind of gave away some momentum. That is still something they got to freaking work on, the power play, because at times it's still an issue for the Flyers, and they had so many chances in the second period they didn't cash in on. And then, of course, Boston, very early in the third period with one of their first power play chances, is able to tie it with Pavel Zacha 1-1. But the bottom line is they did what they had to do, the Flyers. It was so vital to at least get 1 point in that game. They did. They made sure it got to overtime. And then, unfortunately, the Bruins lost some discipline in the overtime. You see, obviously, Dvorak getting hooked on a breakaway there. And then, of course, the high sticking penalty by Charlie McAvoy, leading to that 5-on-3, and it felt like at that moment it was a glorious opportunity for Philly to win it. And what a moment for the kid in his not second, I think it's his third now NHL game. Porter Martone with the overtime game-winning goal, his first NHL goal, and it comes as the overtime winner in probably the biggest game of the season, and maybe the biggest game for the Philadelphia Flyers in several years, especially home game at this time of year. And for Porter Martone to score it in that fashion, just spectacular stuff, and a massive 2 points. And here are your third place, Alex, in the Metropolitan Division, Philadelphia Flyers. What a run it's been.
It's been absolutely electric. And when we talk about this, how young players, we talk about when the teams that are kind of fading out of favor, obviously like a Chicago, where you have young guys that are getting their feet wet and, learning at the highest level. But when you have young guys that are interjected into teams that are in playoff races, and oftentimes we usually talk about goaltenders. We always think about the stories of Andrew Hammond, Jordan Bennington, how his career started. But you can have that with forwards too. And having a Porter Martone, a guy who with 19 years of age looks very comfortable, very, very ready to play at this level and to chip in. We've seen him getting shots ad nauseum, and now to finally get one in, get a big-time clutch goal in overtime. I haven't heard that building as loud as it was for that goal, and like I said, it's been several years. It reminded me of that 2010 run, 2014 where they had the run where they won on the last day to get into the playoffs. That kind of atmosphere for Philly. And the league is better when Philly's in the playoffs. Philly, that's a rabid fan base. That's a rocking building. That'll be a fun building. If we get what could be the playoff matchup as of right now, if the season were to end today, Pittsburgh versus Philly, that would be just absolutely electric. Keystone State rivalry, Crosby back in the playoffs, Philly back in the playoffs for the first time in years. That would be must-see TV for all 4 through 7 games. That would be played, but that's a huge win. A great win for me. Hit the draw plus 310 and hit the overtime shootout winner plus 500 with Philly. Always nice to cash both of those. So a good win. And like I said, this is a Flyers team. They're the only team right now that seems to be catching fire out of this wild card race. Every other team, like I said, keeps tripping over their feet. Philly's one of those teams that's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe I'm exaggerating. What a run for Philly. It's more so that the other teams have been tripping over their own 2 feet. It's not like they've had to do a whole lot. Philly hasn't had to go on some blistering 9-1 run to get into a playoff spot. This is all about the other teams just fucking up all around them more than anything and opening the door for them.
Which team's going to take advantage of the spots in front of them? They did yesterday.
They did. They did. And I had a piece of that draw. I had the Flyers, and I'm glad I went. See, that's why I didn't go in regulation. I said I'm laying the 35-40 with Philadelphia, -135, -140, because they could easily win that in overtime. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I love this comment from Dre, our good friend in the chat. It is National Championship Day in college basketball, NCAA tournament, UConn, Michigan. Fuck that. I'll be watching hockey. Let's fucking go. Hello, Ice Guys fan.
Nice.
Oh, even hey, at this point with the friggin' basketball, is it even going to be a game worth watching? I mean, if Saturday is any indication, is it going to be another freaking blowout fest and another snore fest waiting to happen? Is it going to be a compelling game at this point? Yeah,
it might be. Michigan's just too good.
Yeah, so it might be in your best interest to watch hockey if you want compelling, thrilling, tense, dramatic sports on your Monday night here. So that's something to point out. But yeah, big win for the Philadelphia Flyers there. What else is new? Pittsburgh, death, taxes, overs in Pittsburgh Penguins games. It's now 15-2 to the over in the last 17 games now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 5-2 win. They go over their team total again. We hit Florida not first goal because I think Pittsburgh scored first goal, but we did get Florida goal in the first period. As a winner there as well. So that was a pretty good result. It was a really good Sunday. And if you saw the card on Patreon, you know that for yours truly, it was a very good Sunday. So was this. I mean, I'm glad I went forward on this. I was a little hesitant because Ottawa's been a little sketchy lately, but you had to bet the spot. It felt like a scheduled loss for Carolina. Brutal situation playing Saturday night against the Islanders. They didn't get into Ottawa till after midnight. You're playing a 5 p.m. Eastern start yesterday. It's definitely a big advantage in the schedule and the situation for Ottawa. They took advantage of it. 6-3 win for the Ottawa Senators, bouncing back after the 4-1 home loss to Minnesota on Saturday. Dylan Cousins, Timmy Stützle had a great game. Brady Tkachuk, terrific with 2 goals. It was just a nice team effort. Credit to Travis Green, giving Linus Ullmark the start on the back-to-back. We weren't sure he would get the back-to-back start, Ullmark, but Green went with him. And it ended up paying off. And that's now Linus Ullmark. I'm going to look, I'm a fair guy. I'm a fair man. If you deserve criticism, you'll get it from me. But if you deserve praise, you'll get it from me. A, you played well. And 2, you sucked it up and you've started finally on a back-to-back. None of this rest nonsense. It's the fucking chance to get into the playoffs. You play if you're a number 1 goalie and your coach wants you in there. And this time he did, and he played solid, and Ottawa gets a big 6-3 win over the Carolina Hurricanes yesterday. So, like I said, I'm a fair man when it comes to criticism. If you deserve the criticism, I'll get it. I'll give it. If you deserve the praise, though, I'll give that as well. So we'll give Linus Ullmark some props there yesterday for playing on the back-to-back and playing pretty well in the victory there over Carolina. I talked about I didn't want to fade Montreal, and I know the chat kind of thought it was a tough spot for Montreal. Played out that way. It was 6-9, all on the road. First game home. They just beat New Jersey in thrilling fashion Saturday night in Jersey. And you could tell they fell flat last night. Didn't have a lot in the tank, Montreal. New Jersey with a 3-0 shutout win over the Montreal Canadiens last night. As Cole Caulfield remains waiting for that 50th goal, obviously, because Montreal did not end up scoring last night. Devils get the win 3-0. There. So Montreal still, though, very much in the mix for the Atlantic division. They're there still with Tampa and Buffalo for sure. But you could tell the spot and all the travel, Alex, caught up with Montreal a little bit last night.
Yeah, early in that game, but they got their legs late. Cole Caulfield had over a dozen chances to get that 50th goal, and it was some great goaltending by Markstrom. Connor Brown played his ass off. He got the empty net goal, but defensively, the penalty killing, he was literally the entire penalty killing unit for the Devils in the third period. Like, I was really impressed with how he played. So were I was watching the Montreal feed, and even their announcers were just lauding how well he was playing, and
Yep.
he was just breaking up every pass, active sticks the entire time. They had 3 power play chances where they could have made that a 2-1 game and really put some pressure on the Devils, but the Devils held tight. And it's kind of a shame to see the Devils playing this great of hockey the last 2.5 weeks, knowing they're not going to make the playoffs. Had they played this well in this 2-week block in before the Olympic break, or in different times where they had been struggling, this would be a completely different result for the Devils. But they played their asses off. It wasn't just so much Montreal on a flat spot. Give the Devils
Yep.
credit. They played some really good hockey in that third period.
And what I mean by flat is they weren't getting caved in. It's just your execution is off a little bit. That's where it shows up too when you've been traveling a lot and you're coming back home. You can just see that and that's why they didn't score. I mean, they had some looks. You got to credit the Devil defense and Markstrom as well, but you could tell there were just a little bit of the offensive execution, the precision, the passing, the shooting, all of that stuff that it takes to score goals in this league. It was just a touch off, just a fraction off last night for Montreal. But give New Jersey credit. 3-0 win there. This was despicable for Washington. I never in a million years thought they would be bombed 8-1 like that by the New York Rangers. And we talked about how Lindgren had good numbers against the Rangers going into last. There's not a Lindgren problem. Lindgren could have been better. I definitely think so. But that defense in front of him, man, Grant Fuhr would have been hung out to dry last night. Marty Brodeur would have been hung out to dry if they had the fucking clown show that was the Washington Capitol defense in front of them last night. That's what it was. Freaking clown show. Terrible defending. How many backdoor tap-ins you going to allow last night if you're the Washington Capitals? How many times are you going to allow a person right in the slot all by himself to fire the puck at your goaltender? I mean, my God, horrendous defending last night by the Washington Capitals. They get absolutely drilled by the New York Rangers. And the New York Rangers now are a team that I'm very reluctant the rest of this regular season now to bet against. They've got great energy. They've got all these young kids playing their asses off. Sikoras of the world, the Gabe Perreaults of the world. Will Cooley gets a hat trick last night. And John Massey, Ranger fan supreme, talked about it in our group chat. It's like it's given this team new adrenaline, new energy here late in the season. All these young kids getting this great opportunity for them, and they're playing like it. So Rangers playing spoiler in both games this weekend. They knock off two teams desperately needing points, Detroit and Washington, on back-to-back games this weekend, 8-1 the final there. And how about our call on the St. Louis, Colorado game to end the night?
Yeah.
It couldn't have worked out better. Nailed it. That's the way you look at it. Best bet was St. Louis, goal in the first. St. Louis, first goal, first period, plus 190 was the price on that. It's a phenomenal price. We also had both teams to score first period over. The only thing I lost was full game over, and that was smaller bet than the rest of the stuff that I took. We had a little piece of the Blues team total over, 2.5, the full game team total, a little piece of that money line, which was up to plus 175 last night with the St. Louis Blues. That was a phenomenal result. Loved it. Love seeing that. When you got something in your mind that you think it's going to play out this way, the game flow is going to go in this direction, and it goes just as you thought it would. Boy, is it a great feeling. 3-2. What a goal by, first of all, what a play by Snuggerud on the goal. Toe drag to set up Robert Thomas for that game-winning goal and the hat trick for Robert Thomas last night. He got all 3 St. Louis goals. Absolutely outstanding. And then the one of the 2 Colorado goals was courtesy of Parker Kelly. So we had 2 goal props in that game that cashed too. Nice. Robert Thomas and Parker Kelly, who's just been remarkable. And they showed a great graphic, Alex, and this is what it means when you improve as a pro. They flashed it up on the screen during the intermission with Levy and PK that Parker Kelly had 25 goals in his last 5 seasons combined in the NHL. He's got 20 this season alone.
Wow. Amazing.
So that's a guy that's come a long way. But his team loses, but Parker Kelly, heck of a game, heck of a run this season. But St. Louis, Alex, we thought the spot would be a good one for them, and this one-up, one-down nature of the Colorado Avalanche continues.
Yeah, and I mean, St. Louis played that game like a playoff game. It wasn't just a rollover by Colorado. Colorado was engaged in that contest, but St. Louis just brought the better of the competition in that contest. And like I said, Robert Thomas stepping up big, getting the hat trick. Snuggerud playing well. Joel Holfer making some saves. I mean, he's spotty. He's still a guy you can't just completely trust in a spot, but he played well in that game. And like I said, that's huge for Parker Kelly. That's the reason why Colorado is the number 1 team in the West. More than likely will end up winning the President's Trophy because of having those secondary scorers. We talk about that all the time. You'll hear us say it 1,000 times from next week until the end of June about how important it is to get secondary scoring and having those second and third and fourth line guys chipping in offensively. So when you have a Parker Kelly that can give you 20 goals on top of Nichushkin and McKinnon and Landeskog and all the other talent that they have, that's a massive asset for the Avalanche.
So great Sunday, fantastic, big profits. The only thing I was missing was a bargain bin special winner, and of course, I went with Dawson Mercer. I went with Mackie Samoskevich.
I got one of those
choices.
Connor McMichael.
Right. That's right. I forgot to mention that. Gosh, that's a bad job by me. Yes, Connor McMichael, Alex's bargain bin yesterday, and a breakaway goal. The only goal they ended up scoring, Washington.
Yep.
A great pass from Tom Wilson, of all people, to find Connor McMichael there for that. So there we go, Connor McMichael. We did have an Alex B. Smith bargain bin special. My top two didn't hit, but I mentioned it on the segment yesterday. My third choice would have been Robert Thomas, and naturally he ends up getting a hat trick for the St. Louis Blues. But it was a great Sunday, and let's hope we can roll it over into a great Monday. Even though there's only 4 games, there's still some opportunities out there, and we'll begin. I can't wait. I'll be watching. I'll be dialed into this from start to finish. First place showdown, Tampa Bay Buffalo, with the Atlantic crown still on the line. We've got Tampa Bay minus 120 road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. I think when you look at this matchup here with Lightning and Sabres, obviously we know the last time they played, it turned into absolute chaos. All hell broke loose. It was one of the best regular season games you'll ever see. And one of the best NHL regular season games that I have ever seen in my lifetime. And I've been watching hockey for upwards of 40 years now. And you couldn't do much better than 8-7 Buffalo over Tampa, March 8th, exactly 1 month ago in this building, KeyBank Center in Buffalo. It had everything, tons of goals, 15 combined. Still had some pretty good goaltending, but more importantly, it went off the rails physically. Scrums, line brawls, fights galore, a zillion penalty minutes between the two teams in that game. It was just one of those games that just absolutely went off the rails. It was as a fun and entertaining and crazy a watch as you will have in the regular season. Now, what do they do for a follow-up? It's worth noting these teams have played each other 3 times this season, all of which in the new year. Tampa got a 4-3 overtime win February 3rd. And, of course, Buffalo with back-to-back wins. They won down in Tampa 6-2 right after the Olympic break ended. And then, of course, that just insane game, 8-7 in Buffalo right after that. Buffalo off back-to-back losses, Ottawa and Washington. I think they won't admit it. They were excited to finally end the playoff drought and clinch that playoff spot. They played like it against Washington. They really did. They really played like it, and I was worried about that Buffalo bet against Washington after Detroit spit the bit to clinch that playoff spot for Buffalo. And sure enough, they didn't play great. I think I like Buffalo in this spot. First of all, it's Buffalo or pass for me personally here in this. I think it's a good bounce back spot for the Sabres. Off 2 straight road losses. They have a great home record, 24-10-4. At home. That being said, Tampa's been better on the road this year than they've been in years past. Years past, they haven't been that great on the road. They have been better this year, 23-9-5, the road record here for Tampa Bay. But I think Buffalo could still find a way here tonight. I'll sprinkle on the Sabres at plus 100. I think we're going to see UPL. UPL is separated from Lyon as far as goaltending. It is confirmed Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Andrei Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay. Which is no surprise at all. Keep in mind, there's a big injury absence here for Tampa. Well, we know Hedman's still on IR, but Brandon Hagel's a big deal, and he's been ruled out once again. He'll miss yet another game here for the Tampa Bay Lightning in this one. So 3 games between them this year, 3-0 to the over. Makes me think it could be that way again, but I've got a very, very gnawing feeling in the pit of my gut that after 8-7, and all this hell breaking loose, March 8th, we're going to see tighter checking, lower score. Just a feel for me. I'm not saying it for sure it's going to happen, but it's just a feel for me that I think we could see that here tonight after just, But the other side of it is it's 3-0 to the over this season. It's 4 straight head-to-head meetings going back to last year that have gone over. And I think we are still going to have some rough stuff and some physicality tonight. And if we do, we're going to see, I don't know if we're going to see the the trillion penalty minutes we saw in the last meeting. But if we see enough, we're going to see power plays, and obviously more power plays equals more chances for goals. So that is still something in the back of my mind here when it comes to this Lightning and Sabres game. So I'm going to sprinkle on this 6.5 over. And I'm also going to sprinkle on the both teams to score first period, thinking they could come out with energy, and then it really quiets down, slows down, and then we see it start to, because this could be 1-1 in the first period and it ends 3-2, 4-2 for somebody.
Yep.
That is possible here in this game. And let's not forget, UPL's been really good lately. And I think Andrei Vasilevsky's probably looking to step his game up here in a big spot against a team they're battling with for the so this is not a slam dunk over in my mind here in this game tonight, Lightning and Sabres, because it's 4 straight overs. I'll dabble in the 6.5. And I'll also get in a little bit with both teams to score first period because I like the value at plus money, and I could see it being a 1-1 opening stanza. But I'm not in love with this over, and I could see it kind of going the other way after 8-7 a month ago, where it's just a lot tighter and a lot lower scoring this time around, even though the series history does not bear that out. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I will be on Buffalo here, plus 100. Alex, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Buffalo.
Yeah, the only thing pregame I have is like you said, first period both teams score plus 162. But I have it circled where if that cashes in, I will be looking for a live under. This has to be a dress rehearsal for Buffalo, and a playoff dress rehearsal basically for this team. Not just for them, but their fans too. This is a very important game for still a chance to clinch the Atlantic Division against a team that you could potentially be facing in the first round. And I think Buffalo is going to play it as such. I think this is a game where you get out to some good energy early, try and get to a lead, but at some point you have to clamp down and play more defensive hockey, which we've seen Buffalo do. Now, Tampa, this is definitely a team obviously who well versed in playing it in this kind of atmosphere, this kind of style. They know what they need to do to win this game. They have to take the crowd out of it. They got to try and score early. If you like Tampa Bay, I would also look at maybe Tampa Bay first goal, first period, because that's what they will need to do in order to get this win, in my opinion. I lean with Buffalo, but I'm staying away from a side pregame. I'll wait for this in game. I have both teams to score in the first period, and I do have a little piece of the draw plus 320, just because this is a close battle, and if it is tied late, both teams are going to hold on and need the points. They understand what's at stake here, so I don't think we're going to see much fooling around if this game's tied. Hell, 7-8 minutes left in the third period. So those are two plays I have pregame. Do lean with Buffalo, but we'll be engaged with more live action in this one. This should be a fun one to watch.
And boy, oh boy, did we see that with Boston, Philadelphia yesterday, where we definitely saw, once that game was 1-1 and later it got into the third period, Philly was concerned about one thing only, secure that point. Yeah. Secure that point. And that, when points are at a premium this time around, you definitely can look that way. I like what Robert Carlson's thinking with Josh Doan, 4 goals in 5 games versus Tampa. He has definitely had a lot of success against them. In fact, the app that I use, props.cash for player props, you can go head-to-head percentages. What's the percentage of games that player has scored against the opponent? Nobody's got a higher percentage head-to-head in this matchup tonight than Josh Doan against Tampa. So I'll go. I like Josh Doan too, plus 320. Pretty good price there as far as him to find the back of the net. I'm going to go with a couple of these defensemen that have been playing so great, one on each team. Darren Radish for Tampa to find the back of the net, plus 480. I think this is going to be one of those games too. Big game like this, simplify. And what do you mean by simplify? Pucks from the point, shots from the point. And you got 2 guys that can shoot it from the point. You got Darren Radish for Tampa. I think he's worth a look for a goal prop. And then Rasmus Dahlin, the captain of the Buffalo Sabres, on the other side, who scored last game against Washington, scored in 3 of the last 5 games for the Sabres as well. And he scored in 31% of games in the past against Tampa Bay. So I think Rasmus Dahlin certainly could be worth a shot. That's a good point with Rich. Charles-Edouard Dastou for Tampa Bay, the defenseman that's really picked up his game here of late. Has been chipping in points for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He also scored last game for them. So as far as the points props, by the way, we've got a 7-game point streak for Gensel, but it's just too expensive going into this game. But we do have, that's the main one. It's just a little too pricey to bet it on its own. As far as goal props too, we have Kucherov has scored in back-to-back games. here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Could be worth a shot. Jason Zucker's another one that's had success scoring against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that's another thing, too, with Darlene. When Rachel was on the show Thursday with us, she talked about how Darlene's been shooting the puck a ton and getting chances, getting opportunities. So that's another thing that kind of gravitated me toward Darlene as far as a goal prop. Yeah, Sorelli, she mentioned him, too. He did score the hat trick a couple games ago. I don't mind that if you're looking at another option there for Tampa Bay. But obviously, that's a must-watch item on the NHL schedule tonight. This one, not quite as much, but it is your Monday. It's only on Prime. It's your Monday night Prime game, Seattle, Winnipeg. Winnipeg minus 170, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this one. I think it's stick a fork in them. They're done territory for the Seattle Kraken. There, you couldn't beg me to bet them tonight. It's just that's just not going to happen. Question is, do I really want to take Winnipeg minus 170? Do I really want to? No. At that price, the answer is no. But if I take them in regulation, the overtime possibility, because Seattle's not completely out of it. I think they're done, but mathematically they're not completely done. And Winnipeg, if it's tied in the third, they're going to try to secure the point, I would think, here in this one. But I still think Winnipeg could be good enough to win this within 60 minutes, not require a draw, not require overtime in this game. I just don't like the form of the Kraken at all right now. How can you? They are floundering, and they are just hemorrhaging with these games meaning the most in the last four. Losing, to Buffalo in a shootout, okay, we can excuse that, but shut out by Edmonton, losing 6-2 and getting thumped by Utah. Now, that was a tough spot. 6-game road trip, first game home, but still a terrible loss. And then an even worse loss against Chicago with Arvid Soderblom in net the other night, losing 4-2 to Chicago. So, yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to end up on Winnipeg in regulation. I probably will end up taking it. It's going to be not a big bet, but I mean, I think they could get this done within 60. There's not a lot of meat on the bone that says, wow, Seattle's really got Seattle's really given you the confidence to step up here in Winnipeg and be able to beat this Jets team. Now, I will say they have beaten Winnipeg in both meetings this year, believe it or not. Back in October and November, Seattle went 2-0 against Winnipeg, but we're a long way removed from October and November. Okay, this is April, and right now Seattle's not stepping up with the games mattering the most here at this time of year. So it could only be the Jets for me here. Alex, what do you think? Seattle, Winnipeg?
Yeah, adios, Kraken. Give me the Jets. Team total 3.5 plus 120. That's the only bet I have here.
All right, there you go. And talk about Seattle and you talk about the team total route with Winnipeg. Seattle 4 allowed to Chicago, 6 allowed to Utah in those 2 home games. After coming back from the 6-game road trip. They did only allow 3 to Edmonton, Buffalo, but they had games there where they allowed 5 to Columbus, 5 to Florida. Yeah, there's a chance that Winnipeg might be able to dial it up offensively here tonight for those looking at the team total. As far as props here for tonight's game, I think for Winnipeg, you've got Iafallo, Velarde, Perfetti, that group in the top 6. I'd probably look toward them in some fashion. As far as props, the one I'm going to note here for Seattle is obviously, keep talking about him, Bobby McMann, and that's a shame because they're letting Bobby McMann down, this Seattle team right now. He's been so good for them, and they just don't get consistency offensively from many other sources right now. So keep that in mind. That's a great point by Nick, and that's worth mentioning. Ryan Winterton is a guy that actually played for the Hamilton Bulldogs here in my hometown for a bit in junior. His brother just recently passed away, lost his battle with cancer. Sad, tragic turn of events for the Winterton family. And Ryan obviously has been away from playing while he's obviously been mourning the loss of his brother. And he's going to make his return, it looks like, tonight for the Seattle Kraken. So that would be kind of cool to see him score tonight or have some kind of impact here on the team. If he does indeed, now he was back with the team Saturday versus Chicago, back with the team, but he didn't play Saturday against Chicago. It sounds like he might play tonight. So again, just a tough thing to deal with, obviously. And we talk about cancer, man. It's the bastard of a disease, just won't relent, unfortunately. And sad to see what's happened there as far as Ryan Winterton's brother. But there is a chance he does return tonight for Seattle. All right, Chicago, San Jose. We've got San Jose. By the way, the First period over might be worth a look in that Seattle-Winnipeg game. It is on a strong run for Seattle.
Yep.
I think 9-2, as Jonathan alludes to, with the Seattle first period overs. So I don't mind looking in that direction. 14-2, I should say, for the Seattle first period.
I think it's worth waiting on. I mean, it's at minus $1.10, $1.05 now. It's a couple shops, so just wait a few minutes, let it cross in the plus money territory, and take a shot.
Yeah. Chicago, San Jose. We've got San Jose minus 170 home favorites. The total here sitting at looks like 6.5 across the board here in this matchup. Chicago, were able to step up and play spoiler Saturday night against the Seattle Kraken. Will they be able to do it 2 in a row here against the San Jose Sharks? That's the big question. But there's a big difference in Seattle's form versus San Jose's form right now at this point in time. Now, it is going to be Alex Nedeljkovic for the San Jose Sharks here in net tonight. Warsofsky giving him the opportunity to start tonight. It was not a pretty night for Askarov against Nashville in the loss to the Predators on Saturday night. Now, it's been kind of rough for Nedeljkovic in the back half of March. He went 0-5 with a 4.4 goals against, an .818 save percentage, 5 starts in March, but he's won his last 2 starts, and he's allowed just 3 goals on the last 44 shots during those last 2 starts. So Nedeljkovic that's what you deal with Nedeljkovic. He's going to have a downturn for a bit, and now he's on a bit of an uptick these last 2 starts. And he's played better for San Jose. And after what I saw from Askarov, I have no issues whatsoever with Ryan Warsofsky giving Nedeljkovic this start here tonight. Chicago, it's very interesting because obviously they beat Seattle with Arvid Soderblom in net, and he did play very well. You would think, does he get rewarded with a second straight start? The answer to that is no. Spencer Knight will start here for the Chicago Blackhawks here tonight in this one. So he gets the nod against San Jose tonight. Still, I think for San Jose, that was a disheartening start against Nashville. You're down 3-0 right away. Not the start you wanted. I don't want to lay $1.70 with San Jose. I would lean San Jose maybe in regulation. I think this is a game they can win within 60 minutes. Chicago did find a way to beat Seattle, but at the same time, Seattle's just in bad current form. San Jose's hungry. I trust San Jose, even with this young group, off a bad game to respond. So I'm going to go with the puck line with San Jose in the first period. Get the lead early. You got to have a better start. Your start was terrible against Nashville. You got to have a better start here. I think they will. So I think the value with the puck line for San Jose in the first period's worth a look. I will take that San Jose team total over as well here in this game, full game. That's the full game look because, as I said, when you're talking about minus 170, I pivot to team total. I have zero interest in laying prices like that at this time of year, but you can talk me into the team total. Over 3.5, minus 108. Actually, minus 105 is actually still out there with the San Jose team total. I like that. I think they can get to 4 tonight. And I love Knight. I respect Knight, but I have just this feeling that Chicago's defense is going to have their hands full with San Jose off that loss. And then I think loaded for bear a little bit here tonight. So those are the main 2 looks for me. We'll go with a little San Jose first period puck line, minus 0.5 at looks like plus 150 is the best price with that. Plus the San Jose team total over 3.5. I will keep my eye on the first period goal market for San Jose. If it drops a little bit early in the first period, we'll probably add that in game. Alex, what do you think? Chicago, San Jose?
I think this is going to be a goal fest, but I'm waiting for the over by fact the end game. I have a bargain bin for each side. I just think this is going to be a back and forth affair, and we've seen that a lot with these 2 teams. And keep in mind, the Hawks have won 7 of the last 10 meetings against San Jose. So This is not just all of a sudden just okay, here comes a bad Hawks team eliminated, out of the race. They're here to play spoiler, and certainly, like I said, when you're talking about the young guys on both these teams, they know they're going to be facing each other for a while. Obviously, Celebrini and Bedard is the main event, but when you got young guys like Colin Graff, Frank Nazar, seeing that Frondell playing well, Will Smith. This is one of those matchups, just like San Jose and Anaheim. We're talking about the future of the league here when these 2 teams play, and they kind of realize it. And they kind of had the matchups we've seen them play this year. They've played up to that, and we've seen a more up-tempo battle. So I think that continues here. I like the over by factor, but I'm waiting for it in game.
Yeah, plus 110. Yeah, I'll dabble in that. Plus 110 as well with the first goal, first period for San Jose. And then, like I said, that first period goal for San Jose, minus 196 right now. So you definitely can't take it at that price. You got to wait. That's why I'm saying I'll wait for it. If we get to the first TV timeout and San Jose hasn't scored yet, I'll jump in at that first TV. It'll be a good price by then, good enough price by then to bet it during the first period. All right, as far as props for this game, yeah, there are some props that I do like here in this matchup. We've talked about it. It's one thing to note, too. He scored against Seattle. He's actually scored in 2 of the last 5 for the Blackhawks, and he is 4th in head-to-head scoring, goal scoring, between these two teams combined. And that's Ilya Mikheyev, believe it or not, for Chicago. So that could be one that's worth a sprinkle. He scored before against San Jose, scored last game, has had a history of scoring in games against the Sharks. So that could be worth a shot there at plus 480 in that range for the Chicago Blackhawks. Bertuzzi's had a damn good season for Chicago. You got to give him credit. I always see him with that mangy face of his with all the hair on it, and there he is just celebrating after another goal goes in. Like I said, he's been solid for Chicago this year. For the San Jose side, you look at their lineup, and this is basically me on repeat or me on tape, because basically I talk about the same players all the time with San Jose props, but it's Colin Graff, it's Kiefer Sherwood, it's Chernyshov, and right now it's got to be Alex Wenberg, 100% for San Jose. This guy has been in a great run of late. 3 of the last 5 games, he scored 4 of the last 10. He got on the board for San Jose, even in the loss against Nashville on Saturday. Scored 1 of the goals there, and you're still getting him at pretty good price, plus 350 or so. So Wenberg certainly is someone that we got to look at as far as goal props once again tonight for San Jose. So those are a couple of the props there that I'll be looking at for Blackhawks and Sharks. And on we go to the last game for this Monday night, Nashville, Los Angeles, a playoff game before the playoffs. That's what we've got once again. These two teams just met in L.A. last week. It was a barn burner. Nashville jumped out early. L.A. roared back, tied it up, forced overtime, and they ended up losing in a shootout to Nashville. L.A. looking for redemption, minus 130, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Just take away any possibility DJ Smith can return as head coach next season for LA if Anton Forsberg doesn't start tonight. That's where I'm at. It's that he's got to be in. I've seen enough with Kemper. It's been a bad stretch for Darcy Kemper. That was ugly against Toronto, and they won in spite of him. They won in spite. Now, the defense was deplorable as well for the LA Kings, and that was a shit show of a hockey game. The Leafs and the Kings the other night. Fun as hell to watch, but clearly not a defensive masterpiece by either team. You have to go with Forsberg here. And now I'm just seeing it now. Yes, it is going to be Anton Forsberg here for the LA Kings. And the fact that DJ Smith, after the 7-6 win against Toronto, before that game, he said, Darcy Kemper's my goalie. After that game, he said he wasn't going to commit to Darcy Kemper. That was probably a telltale sign that Anton Forsberg was going to get the start. That being said, Forsberg's he has been in better form lately than Kemper, but the defense is terrible for LA. Like, it's to the point where, Forsberg's probably going to give you a little bit more stable goaltending, but this team right now is a fucking disaster in their own zone, Los Angeles. Jonathan Davis will be the president of the fan club to back me up on that. Like, they are a mess. Cece, what the hell was Dumoulin doing on the 1 goal that Toronto scored? Off the glass to get the puck out of the zone, not through the middle in your own zone through the slot. It picked off, and right there, Toronto scores off that. These are fucking vets. They're supposed to know a thing or two. They're supposed to know better, have a little screw in their brain and figure that out, that's not the play to make. My goodness gracious, terrible stuff from LA in that Saturday night game against the Toronto Maple Leafs defensively. Just absolutely, and these are veteran guys that are screwing up and making these kind of disaster glass plays in the D zone right now for the Los Angeles Kings. So I know it's a little step up, we think, right now in goaltending with Forsberg, because he's been a little bit better than Kemper. I'm going to go right back to the over, though, with these two teams. 5.5. We soared over that total last Thursday. in the game between the Preds and the Kings in LA. I'm going to go back to Nashville too. I don't trust LA right now. I'm going to go back to Nashville. They've shown me a little something, beating San Jose, red hot as they were, 6-3. The fact that Nashville's a slight dog in this game, plus 115, plus 110, split it with team total on the Predators side as well, which is over 2.5 at minus 134, best price with that at Pinnacle. So there you go. I'm on over 5.5. I'll probably be on the draw. I think you have to be as well. That's the one thing to point out, is that we've seen Nashville and LA go 4 straight times beyond regulation head to head. And if you really want to get crazy, they played each other twice in the regular season this year. Both games past regulation. Both games to a shootout. So you could do that little shootout sprinkle again with LA and Nashville. They'll go to a shootout for a third straight time this season at head-to-head, and both games identical 5-4 final scores in favor of Nashville back in October, and then, of course, just last week on Thursday. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to run it back pretty much a lot of what I like Thursday night, Alex, essentially, with these two teams. Predators money line, team total over split, full game over 5.5, draw, and I might even go a step further with a little 5-4 correct score sprinkle. Why not? It's happened twice previously with these two teams head-to-head. So what do you think here, Alex? Nashville, LA.
Yeah, I'd say you get 35-1 for that Nashville 5-4 correct score. You can still get plus 1,100 for the game to go to a shootout. But I'm keeping it simple, just going with the draw. I got plus 305 earlier today. Like I said, just got to get roll with what we've seen from this series the last 4 meetings. It's been close, tight hockey, and I expect exactly the same. This is going to be playoff kind of atmosphere, playoff style hockey, and I think it's going to take longer than 60 to decide a winner there. So just a draw for me, plus 305 is the price I got.
Good stuff. I mean, it's coach speak out of DJ again after the Toronto game. We got to burn the tape. He said something along those lines. We got to figure out how to be, sound in our own zone again. They aren't capable right now, from what I see. LA. They could talk about wanting to be better defensively. I just don't think they've got the horses in the stable. That's the phrase I always like to go with right now to be a good defensive hockey team on the back end. Sorry, I just don't see it. I see guys that just are long in the tooth, that can't skate like they used to. Doughty, Ceci, Dumoulin, make mistakes, break down, flustered under pressure. When they get hemmed in the D zone, it's despicable to see just how much they're hemmed in, and they get stuck on the ice for a minute or two at time. I don't know what coaching you can do to coach that out of somebody. It's personnel. It's a personnel situation with the Kings on defense right now. That's what I see, because I don't see it changing. It's the same old crap every night, as far as I'm concerned. As far as goal props, we don't have the same old crap here. We've got some good options here for goal props here tonight in this game. I mean, I'll say this: Byfield's been very good, and he was very good against Toronto. He got the game winner. Laferriere, both of those for the Kings I'm interested in as far as goal props are concerned. Kempe's been on a roll. He's on a heater, 4-game goal streak for Adrian Kempe here for the LA Kings. Forsberg scored in 3 straight. Steven Stamkos for Nashville has scored in 3 straight. And I was just going to get to what Jonathan's talking about with Erik Haula. Not only did Erik Haula, I believe, score against San Jose, which he did, he does have a track record of success against Forsberg. 3 goals in 7 games versus Anton Forsberg in the past. So, I think this could be a night for Erik Haula to find the back of the net as well for this Nashville team. So if we get a game anything close to what we saw Thursday night last week with Predators Kings, and certainly anything close to what we got with Leafs and Kings on Saturday night, it'll be an entertaining end to the and a crazy end to Monday night's NHL slate. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, looking forward, even though it's only a 4-game slate, some good matchups, obviously, to sink our teeth into. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Daily premium picks, long-term subscription passes available. The national championship game tonight, looking to end my number 1 ranked college basketball season on the website with a winning fashion. Number 1 in the NHL as well. So make sure you get on board. NBA down the stretch, MLB now underway. Wizardsportspicks.com. Check it out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We're going to have a Patreon exclusive live betcast next week one more before the end of the regular season. So make sure you sign up, get on board before next week so you can be part of that betcast. And we're going to have 2 first-round Stanley Cup playoff betcasts late April. That will be exclusive to Patreon members as well. So make sure you check it out. Get on board. $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month. Patreon.com/IceGuys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we've got caps, we've got mugs, we've got bags, we've got all kinds of wonderful items that you can grab right now. And like I said, it's starting to warm up, getting the springtime, so it's a great time to get a t-shirt. We got some polo shirts, we've got some tank tops as well. So definitely check all the items out we have at the Ice Guys store. Once again, that's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night, and courtesy of Alex, we got one last night in the win column with Connor McMichael of the Washington Capitals. See how we can add to it here for this Monday night. Alex, bargain bin special of the night.
I've got a pair of them, and they both involve players with Chicago versus San Jose. First, we'll start with the visitors, the Blackhawks. I'm looking at Ryan Donato to get on the board here tonight. You can get him plus 475, best price available I'm seeing over at DraftKings. See a plus 440 around there as well. So Ryan Donato, the artist formerly known as Elephant Hands, to get on the board for the Hawks. That'll be my first argument special. My second one will be from the home side, the San Jose Sharks. Moving up to that top line, we've cashed him multiple times before. I have, Ian has. It's Colin Graff. You can get him plus 360, best price available, anytime goal scorer for the San Jose Sharks. So Ryan Donato will be the first, and Colin Graff will be the second for tonight. My bargain specials.
Great stuff. I like both of those, no question. My bargain bin specials of the night, I'm also going to go with a couple here for this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, it's not my bargain bin special, but Nashville, LA, Zachary Leroux. We're going back to the well with him, too. Zachary Leroux for Nashville. He scored against LA last week, too. So Zachary Leroux, I think he's still on the top line for the Predators going into tonight as well. Let me double check on that. Yes, with O'Reilly and Stamkos. So Zachary Leroux for Nashville, like that prop as well. For bargain bin special, though, we're going to Josh Doan. Josh Doan for Buffalo. He scored against Tampa Bay before in the past. Plus 310 is the best price with him. Just barely enough to be bargain bin worthy, but worth a sprinkle for sure. Josh Doan for Buffalo, plus 310 for my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night, we're going to go to Chicago, San Jose, and we're going to see if we can get another one with Mr. Wenberg, Alex Wenberg, plus 350 at Bet Rivers for my second bargain bin special. So Josh Doan, Buffalo, plus 310, and Alex Wenberg, San Jose, plus 350 for my two bargain bin specials for this Monday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's head up to Buffalo, which should be an absolutely electric and insane atmosphere. Getting ready to possibly win the Atlantic Division, taking on Tampa Bay, division rival. I like goals early. Let's go with both teams to score in the first period. Plus 162, best price available there with the Bolts and the Sabres. That'll be my Monday best bet.
All right, there we go. Tampa, I can't wait. That building will be popping tonight in Buffalo. You're right. Because it was for the last Tampa-Buffalo game, with the history of what's happened with those two teams, the chance to obviously go back into a tie with Tampa Bay for first in the Atlantic with a win. I can't, and plus this will be the first home game since they clinched a playoff spot, the Buffalo Sabres. So yeah, I can't wait to see that atmosphere at KeyBank Center tonight in Buffalo for that game. My best bet, we're going to go to the last game on the board. It went over the total last time. I think it does tonight. Give me Nashville, LA, over 5.5, minus 135 at DraftKings. Looks like the best price out there right now. We're going to lay that price to get the 5.5. I think we see another game that goes higher scoring with these two teams. I just don't think the Kings are any good defensively right now. And yes, Forsberg will be a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit better than Kemper. I don't think he can bail out a bad defense all the time in front of him. So Predators, Kings, both meetings went over earlier this season. So Preds, Kings, over 5.5, minus 135 for my best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. Appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will be back Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.